In Thailand recently, I talked with one of the most fascinating people I've ever met. He has confronted head-on one of the world's major issues, the population explosion. World population is growing at the rate of 80 million people a year, and the big question is how they'll be housed and fed. In Thailand, an economist named Mechai Viravaidya has tackled this issue with hard-headed salesmanship and with light-hearted humor. More successfully, perhaps, than in any other emerging nation, the message is being sold that 2 is enough. Mechai Viravaidya will tell you that family planning goes hand in hand with economic development. The Canadian International Development Agency, CIDA for short, helps fund the economic development part, not the family planning part. Mechai, as he's known throughout Thailand, is an interesting blend of East and West. Scottish mother, Thai father, schools in Australia. His unconventional ways have made birth control work in Thailand, and have also made Mechai famous.
American Express.
In Thailand, everybody knows Mechai Viravaidya, and they know him simply as Mechai. In a country smaller in size than the province of Manitoba, but with a population of almost 52 million people, Mechai's name is synonymous with birth control. In just 11 years, he has almost single-handedly cut Thailand's birth rate in half. Now, family planning, as the Thais refer to it, is accepted as a national priority at the Imperial Palace and is part of everyday life on the streets of Bangkok. And when Mechai, the economist, is invited to speak to a group of international bankers, his subject isn't fiscal policy or the U.S. dollar, but the condom.
We have many colors. Red is for Sunday, yellow is for Monday, purple is for Saturday, and we also have black for when you're in mourning. And we have many, many uses of the condom. As you can see, one, you can use it as a tourniquet for snake bites and deep cuts. You can use it to cover a gun to stop sand from going into it. You can, of course, put coins and change into here, or Coca-Cola if you like. And, of course, you can use it as a balloon for young children. And naturally, there's a band at the end. Don't throw it away. You can use it as a hairband.
His is an unconventional, irreverent approach to birth control, which at first might seem to be out of place with the proper and shy Thai character. Especially after the speech, when Mechai hands out condoms like after-dinner mints. Everyone takes home a colorful reminder of the evening and the guest speaker.
You say you had to diminish the shyness factor. You had to desensitize
Well,
people.
people right around the world, and you still have them in North America, luckily we don't have all that many here, are embarrassed by contraceptives, in particular the condom. And
why do you suppose that is?
I really am not so sure why it is. It may be that in some religion, then it became culture, taught us to be so ashamed of a certain part of our anatomy which half the world possesses. But whatever it is, whatever the reason, they do feel shy about it. And how can we make them relax a bit?
If you're trying to change the attitudes of a country as old as Thailand, you've got to start pretty early. So Mechai begins with daycare centers. At 4 years of age, these kids learn a song whose lyrics say, "Too many children make you poor." And they also learn to take family planning in its various forms for granted. In other countries in Asia, China and India, for example, population control is enforced by law. Having one too many children could cost you your job, and sterilization may be compulsory. In Thailand, it's all voluntary. Mechai's philosophy is that in matters between the navel and the knee, coercion simply doesn't work, so his approach is to make it fun. He says children are the first step towards parents, and few parents could object to something their children find so natural. The message is getting through. In fact, most Thais now call condoms Mechais. And Mechai's Population and Development Association, PDA for short, is internationally known as a third world organization that works. And Mechai's done it in large part by being blatantly conscious of public relations. He started handing out condoms to Bangkok's distinctly macho policemen, a campaign he called Cops and Rubbers.
We decided that to appeal to people's sense of humor and try to, for some, shock and get reaction and therefore get more publicity and explain and apologize where it's necessary and keep on going like water on a stone, basically.
There were other programs to follow, all good ideas and good publicity.
When you get into a taxi in Bangkok, you can be reasonably certain about a couple of things. First of all, your taxi driver is going to be full of some terrific ideas. And secondly, you're going to sit in some of the worst traffic you've ever seen in your life. Well, Mechai's taken those two facts of life in Bangkok, and he's put them to his own advantage. So when you sit in a cab, in traffic, in Bangkok, and your driver's full of good ideas, sometimes it's about a pretty surprising subject.
Made in Thailand ก็แขวนตามร้านค้ามาติดป้ายติดร้าน
ผมเป็นแท็กซี่
Blessed with a captive audience, this taxi driver is one of about 200 in Bangkok who'll extol the virtues of family planning rather than their favorite massage parlors. He'll answer your questions about contraception, sell you a package of condoms, or provide birth control pills. There are no prescriptions necessary here.
ของชนิดนี้
In return, Mechai and PDA pay the driver's automobile insurance bill. And in Thailand, if Buddha can't come to the mountain, you take the mountain to Buddha. 2 or 3 days a week, Mechai's mobile vasectomy vans hit the streets with a graphic approach to another form of birth control, as well as mementos of the occasion. Now that he does an American Express commercial in Thailand, Mechai's changed the slogan on his condom key rings. They used to say, break glass in case of emergency. Now the inscription reads, don't leave home without it. This is a male-dominated society, and Mechai's primary target is the Thai male.
Thai men are irresponsible relative to women when it comes to family planning, and we would like greater male responsibility, and there used to be a lot of fear about vasectomy of the male. You know, you go fat, you go thin, you go crazy, you can't work, and your bird doesn't fly anymore, all these things. We want to prove to them that everything is fine after vasectomy. Don't worry about it. So we go for the men. It's easier, and it's cheaper, and safer.
Every year, PDA celebrates the King's birthday with a vasectomy festival, and last year, close to 2,000 operations were performed in a single day. Mechai claimed a world record and asked the Guinness people to put it in their next book. They told him the category doesn't exist. Mechai says the Western world has some catching up to do.
I could not do anything that was not accepted in Thailand. So it's not like bottling Coca-Cola and taking it around the world. This is changing attitudes and behavior, and you have to use whatever is within that society in your part of your plan.
So Mechai has used a combination of modern marketing techniques and age-old tradition. Every morning, the food vendors ply the waters of Thailand's floating markets, bringing breakfast to the people who live along the canals. But in addition to whipping up a mean batch of spicy Thai noodles, this woman is also a PDA volunteer, one of 12,000 across the country, who dispenses birth control information and devices, a little like Avon calling without the doorbell. For about 50 cents, she'll supply a month's worth of contraceptives. And though medical supervision is obviously a lot more relaxed in Thailand than in Canada, detailed records are kept, and the volunteer promises patient confidentiality. It's one of the ways in which the Population and Development Association combines efficiency with a novel approach in dealing with time-honored problems.
And here we are, sitting next to a portrait of the Mona Lisa with a package of birth control pills in her hand.
It's very normal. Perhaps Mona Lisa was very smart, and the reason why she was painted was because she was smart and happy, and she knew how to prevent unwanted pregnancies.
Are there people who would say of you, you're oriented too greatly towards public relations? That the T-shirts, the slogans, the portrait of the Mona Lisa with package of contraceptives in her hands
I'm
are
sure.
too irreverent.
I'm sure there are people who would say that, because there are all sorts of people in the world, and God bless them, because the more I get criticized, the harder I have to work, which is fine with me.
Mechai's work goes well beyond the canals, streets, and ballrooms of Bangkok, to the countryside, where 90% of the population of Thailand lives. Life along the rice paddies is much as it has been for centuries. But even here, family planning has radically changed. Virtually unknown a decade ago, today more than half of these people use some form of contraception. And one of the elements that's been instrumental in the acceptance of Mechai's message is the voice of the Buddhist religion. Unlikely as it might seem, these monks are presiding over the arrival of a new shipment of contraceptives in this village in northeast Thailand. It's a project sponsored by PDA, and this blessing by the country's moral authority might be a bit difficult to arrange in some other religions. It's another indication of the support here for Mechai.
A very large majority of all sectors of Thai society support family planning, that they see it as something good, something moral, and there's even a quotation from the Buddhist scriptures, which is the major religion of the country. Many births cause suffering. And of course, Buddha himself only had one child. He at least knew something about being a parent and having children. He's not a theoretician.
But though he's won numerous victories in Thailand, Mechai's theories are not without their opponents.
You know the tone of the times in North America now, a very aggressive pro-life movement in Canada and the U.S. How would they regard your work?
Well, I would say if you think abortion is wrong, it's your privilege, and I wouldn't argue with that, because it's one's own conviction, one's own religion. And if it's good in your country, I'm not going to object to it. But if you say family planning is wrong, and then I will stay with you till sunset, sunrise again, to explain that I am right, and the other people who believe in family planning are right, and I probably find out that person speaking doesn't have many children themselves.
It's one thing to stop at 2, as the slogans say. It's something else to be able to care for those who've already been born. That's another of PDA's objectives. In this village, for example, they bring in professional hairdressers once a month, not just to cut hair, but to look for lice. PDA's priorities now include health and economic development in what is still very much a third world country.
You have said that family planning is the first step towards economic development. How do you link the two, family planning and development?
We didn't link it directly at first. We have been working there for almost 10 years in family planning, and the only people who gave us money to go into development was the Canadians.
Dave Keithlin is First Secretary for Development at the Canadian Embassy in Bangkok. Through CEDA, the Canadian International Development Agency, Canada has given Mechai's organization almost $3 million to take their work beyond family planning, specifically because of PDA's accomplishments in birth control.
We knew that they came with a record of success in doing what they set objectives for themselves and achieved those objectives. Now they have established a broader set of objectives which relate to a broader scope of activity in a village. And they're saying that we would like people to be a little bit more well off. We would like people to be a bit healthier. We'd like them to live in a cleaner place, a healthier environment. And with those objectives, they're using their committed network to trying to make life a little bit better here in the villages of Thailand.
Not long ago, these people were subsistence farmers. Then the Population and Development Agency established agricultural training programs. They're open to everyone, but first crack, naturally, goes to those who use birth control. For this woman, already the mother of 5, it was an incentive to start practicing family planning. Now she raises her children and livestock as well.
Now they can get the training how to raise a pig or a chicken, and get pigs and chicken to raise, followed by somebody to help take care of them, veterinarian, and then to sell the pig at a fair price and to keep on going.
For the first